Mike, can you feel a reset or anything like that happening with your guys, or do you want a reset after last weekend? Take some things out of it and move on.
Well, probably a little bit of both. Do we need a reset? Yeah, after coming up empty. But again, every weekend's a learning opportunity for us, and we learned quite a bit last weekend. I want to give credit to State. I think they're a good hockey team. We learned a little bit on the compete side of things. If it's one to get an opportunity, it's another thing to finish it. And so just really getting back to some of the details that I think we utilized in our own part of our game earlier that maybe has gotten away from us a little bit, and believe in our process of what we're doing every week, and just understanding as a coach that when you're not seeing the results of the process, we need to then go back and address that and point it out, support them, and give them some opportunities to learn through, whether it's, during the game, maybe it's a little bit of lack of ice time, or maybe post us going ahead and pointing out what the things that we're discussing in game that can hopefully make us better for this next weekend.
Mike, with Anchorage coming in, you're at that point where you go from Big Ten to non-conference, and then you got two more Big Tens coming up right after that. I guess I'm curious in terms of your roster, how you manage this kind of series. Typically, is this the kind of series, for instance, where we might see guys that we typically don't see, where you might try to give some guys some ice time who we haven't seen, or are you really kind of focused on, working on what you saw last weekend and kind of using this week to improve on it?
We try not to, as a staff and really as a group, focus on, who we're playing, whether it's in conference, out of conference. Guys need to earn their opportunities, whether we're playing Anchorage or the following week when we're playing Ohio State, or last weekend when we're playing Michigan State. Focus on what we get to control. And, we had some guys that were out, so we had different guys and opportunities that were there. I think they were excited about those opportunities. We had some guys that I thought took it and were prepared and succeeded, and maybe we learned as a group what we need to do to be better prepared for an environment like we were on Friday and Saturday. I thought our opportunity right now is we're worried about our next day. That's just what we've asked the guys to do, so we're going to do that as a staff. We're not really focusing on who we're playing. We're focusing on what our game is and what we need to get better at, and we've got enough of that to worry about than whom we're playing.
Yeah, and then also last week you kind of talked about power plays and your special, power plays, penalty kills coming off of a week break, and maybe that's one of the areas that's a little more challenging to kind of maintain that momentum in. I guess I'm wondering, obviously the power play numbers weren't great, but I guess I'm wondering what did you see from your team in that regard, and how'd you feel about what you saw this past weekend, even though maybe the results didn't show any goals.
Let's compare the two times I think in this season, from my recollection, of when we've struggled of not scoring power play goals, not being productive at finishing power play opportunities. At the beginning of the year, I thought our power play probably drained us of energy and momentum more than it created for us. This last weekend, I thought our power play had some really good looks, some good opportunities. I want to give Augustine credit, and then I want us to look in the mirror and understand we've got to be a little bit harder in those spots to probably finish. But as far as opportunities, puck movement, quality opportunities, I thought they were there. I thought we had end zone time. So sometimes that happens. I do think there's a difference of us having a lack of productivity on our power play. I thought we had some momentum from our power play this weekend, even though we didn't score. But at the end of the day, it comes down to putting one behind them. And when we're playing well, we'll find a way to score even strength, a couple. and we'll get contributions from our power play, and at times multiple contributions. That's when we're a team that's difficult to play against. And we didn't have that enough this last weekend.
I'm just curious we asked you early in the season coming off the North Dakota game, what did you learn about your team? I mean, do you feel like you learned more after a loss about your team? And I mean, you've had a couple of days since, a pair of losses. What's the vibe been like in practice? I mean, have guys acted differently, or has there been any kind of different sense of response from them?
Well, first of all, I think anytime that you don't reach a goal, our scoreboard is very evident. It's turned on, the lights are on. We either get points or we don't when we're in conference. We made a long trip and didn't have a lot to show for it as far as productivity in the points won column. We did learn a little bit. I thought on Friday we were given a little bit of a lesson by Michigan State on paying attention to details. I thought they were hungry. They were ready for us, a little bit more prepared, which again falls on obviously my shoulders for that environment. I thought our reaction to that was pretty good on Saturday. That's a coin toss of a hockey game. They ended up finding a way to get it done. We didn't. You got to tip your hat to them. But I did like how we reacted to that, especially being on the road in a hostile environment after not getting the first one done. I think the guys have got a nasty taste in their mouth from getting swept. Talked to Bobby Motzko a few weeks ago, and this was after we'd played him probably 10 days or 2 weeks. We just talked about college hockey, and it's hard to sweep teams. And when you get swept, you feel a little empty. And so our group's done a really good job at just coming back to work. I think the attitude's been good. They're okay looking in the mirror right now, and we'll have another opportunity come Friday, but we've got a lot of work to do before then.
Obviously, it's been a stretch. I mean, I know you had the Michigan games in between, but it's been a stretch of those road trips. I mean, is there a level of comfort, a sigh of relief that, like, hey, we get to come back to the Kohl Center for a little bit now?
We want to take advantage of being in our own beds, staying here, taking advantage of the people that are kind enough to come out and watch us play. But we need to get the work put in first. The one thing you're going to see with Anchorage, you're going to see a team coming in here and they'll just let it all hang out. They're going to come in. One thing, watching them on video, they're aggressive all over the rink. They forecheck with two. When they're killing penalties, they'll try and transition and score shorthanded goals. I know the coaching staff pretty well. I've got a lot of respect for them because of the way that they just go out and say, hey, you know what, let's line this thing up and see who's the best at the end of the 60 or 65. So we're going to have to be good to win a hockey game in our own building. But again, our process is what we're focused on right now. And the guys they've come to work this week, which is good.
Can you give us some insight into what you've seen in practice from William Grandma? And is this a weekend where he might get a chance? I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get into a game, but he's got to do the work in practice to get there. So can you shed some light on how he's done in that, I guess?
Yeah, with us coming back, we traveled back and got in a little late on Sunday morning. And so a little rest, recovery, going out and getting a workout in on Monday we were a little shorter than usual. So his opportunity to show himself on that Monday wasn't what it was. We'll see in the next 48 hours. He had a good day today, managed what he needed to manage. He was out there for some power play work early. I'm not worried about his work ethic. Like you said, seeing how he manages tomorrow, we've got a goaltending session tomorrow. We'll be doing a lot of things where he'll have an opportunity to show himself Wednesday and Thursday. But yeah, I'm sure he's looking at me a little bit and wondering, when am I going to get that opportunity? And I've told him just to make sure he's paying attention to his details so that he's not giving me a reason that if that opportunity provides itself that I feel comfortable enough allowing him to go play.
Do you have any more on when Vorlicki might be back, or is Maddie Bisset-Fall okay after Saturday night? How are things looking injury-wise, I guess, overall?
Vorlicki's full go. Cruz Lucius is, coming off really a kind of a nasty flu bug, but is progressing every day. I've liked his want to as far as getting into the lineup, and hockey players like to play the game. So I've liked where he's at. He's progressing daily. And then the last one was Maddie, and we'll see tomorrow, but he is definitely progressing in a more positive manner than what I first thought immediately after the game when you and I had talked a little bit. I like where he's progressing right now.
Have you guys thought about, and you know, there are different ways to try and get forwards going. Have you thought about Stramo moving to the wall ever as a, because
I'm sorry to laugh.
No, but
It's just,
I hear,
have you been sitting in my office?
no, but I hear that with, you know, guys in the
Yeah.
NHL that, you know, this isn't working here, you know, just to shake it up a little bit and see what you can do somewhere else. And it's, you know, maybe it's not a reflection of him as a player, but it's just sometimes to change it up and try something. Is that something you'd entertain in a week like this? I guess?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, here's the thing that I told Strams when we met a little bit yesterday. We're going to hook up today and watch some video, you know, spend some we time. And it was that. I've asked him to just control what he gets to, which is preparation, you know, nutrition, just being ready. He's doing that. And so now it's about just trying to get him to a spot where he feels good about his game and that you know, he can be as productive as he can. And yeah, it's something that we've talked about. And we're going to continue to talk about it and try and find a way to help him be the best version of himself.
What have you seen from Owen? I mean, obviously he's found plenty of opportunities and just seems to keep finding them. But what have you seen from him, especially as an older guy on this team, kind of early in the season?
The one thing I really appreciate about Owen, he's about as zero maintenance as a guy as we have in our roster. Second thing is, I do enjoy this when he walks through the door, whether it was coming in here and sitting in the chair that I'm in right now, or whether it's into the weight room, the nutrition center. He's got a smile on his face. He's a guy you like to be around. I believe he's one of the more well-liked and well-respected guys in our locker room. And so what have I seen from him? I've seen a guy that goes out and just tends to his business, whether it is in the areas that we've talked about. I've gotten comfortable with putting him in some difficult spots. Case in point, Cruz Lucius not being with us last weekend, he gives me a comfort in saying, okay, let's turn to Owen and maybe extend his minutes a little bit on the power play. Give him an opportunity there because he has shown he's scored some goals for us. He's been productive offensively. He's been one of our best guys on the dot. Can he help that power play with the absence of Cruz Lucius? I've used him on the wall, put him on 6-on-5. He's earned it. You know, so that's what I've seen from Owen. It's somebody that no matter what I put on his plate, he's willing to accept it and say, yep, I'll do it. And I don't think he stresses about it. I think he looks at it as he gets pretty excited about the opportunity for whatever it is.
One last thing, 5-on-5. Were you satisfied with the number of chances your top minutes guys were getting last weekend, or is it just something you feel like you can coax out of them to is there something simple, I guess, to change to get more of that when you know that a team like Michigan State has the ability to kind of shut that down and play with the puck themselves too?
You know, as a group, collectively, we need more. Possession, productivity, opportunity, just making teams defend us longer, trying to break them down. So yeah, we're going through those things. Just and it was mentioned earlier about North Dakota. This is where we took that day of shortening and have just had some individual meetings and communicating those things, some video sessions on just making sure that we try and get back to what I think we're capable of with up front. But yeah, what I've said is to much is given, much is expected. And so when you talk about as a coach with your team, guys that get a majority of the minutes, there's a responsibility that comes with that, and they understand that. It's not a want to, it's just let's kind of go back and look at what makes us good. As an individual and then collectively as a group in a line, are we communicating the ways that we need to? Are we doing what we need to do to make it difficult on the other team? Those are things we're going through this week. But yeah, it's a really good point. We need more from that group, but I think that they're willing to do the work and share that responsibility.